Today for reading, we are learning to compare and contrast problems characters face in a story by using a Venn diagram to see how their problems are similar and how they are different. This might look different than a Venn diagram that we would use in school. Usually in school, our Venn diagrams are circular, and the piece in the middle is what they have in common. Here, our Venn diagram is square because it was very challenging to make a circle in which you guys would be able to write in. It's exactly the same idea though, so we would write about the problems from one character here, write about the problems from a second character here, and the problems they have in common go in the middle. Remember, when we compare and contrast, we're writing things that are similar and writing things that are different. So I'm going to model that now. I want you to think about George from Not Yet a Yeti. And I want you to think about Beakley from The Adventures of Beakley, the Unimaginary Friend. So if you haven't listened to either of those videos or haven't read them yourself, please take the time to do that now. The links are also there. We're going to think about the problems that two characters face, and in each box, we're going to write the individual problems that characters have. In the middle, we're going to put problems that are similar. You might find yourself writing a problem that you think is for one character, and it turns out it's for both. Let's start with George in Not Yet a Yeti. I'm going to think about some problems that George has. Everyone in his family is a Yeti. Oops. Everyone in his family is a Yeti. George is not a Yeti. George doesn't know how to become a Yeti. He doesn't like the things that the Yetis do, like chase people and scare them, right? And I feel like George might be kind of feeling like he's left out, because everyone in his family is a Yeti and he's not. So he feels like he's left out, or maybe even lonely. And he's just trying to figure himself out, who he is. Okay, let's think about Beagle, The Adventures of Beagle, the Unimaginary Friend. Again, if you didn't listen to that story, I want you to stop this video and listen to that one now. Some problems that Beagle has. He doesn't have a real friend. I'm saying that because in the story, Beagle is the imaginary friend and he's looking for his real friend. So he's not looking for an imaginary friend, he's looking for a real friend. So he doesn't have a real friend. He doesn't know where to find a real friend. He kind of feels left out because in the story, when he's walking around, you can see that no one's really paying attention to him. This is something that both Beagle and George have in common. So instead of keeping it here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it right into this similar section. Both of the characters feel left out. Now the reason that they feel left out is different. Beagle feels left out because he doesn't have a friend. George has a lot of family and maybe even friends, but he feels left out because he's not the same as them. Let's keep going and see if we can think about any other problems that Beagle has. He kind of is lost when he goes on an adventure. And then if we think about it, at the end of the story, he's still kind of searching for something, which is a friend or a way to find a friend. And he's trying to figure out how he can make friends. Figure out how to make friends. And if you think about when he's with the little girl that he ends up being the imaginary friend for, he's also trying to figure out what to do and who he is. That is the same problem that George had, trying to figure out who he is. So both these characters kind of went on an adventure in a different way. They had different problems, but there were also similarities between them. Both the characters felt left out. They were trying to figure out who they were, and they both kind of felt lonely until they were able to figure themselves out at the end. When we compare and contrast characters, remember we have to think about the things that are similar and the things that are different between the characters. What I'm looking for you to do today is find similarities and differences between two characters in your story, or a character in your story and one in something else that you know a lot about. As you're doing that, you're going to get a graphic organizer that looks just like this without the information filled in, and you can fill it in just like I did. So you can start with one character, then the other, and pull the similarities into this middle section.